Okay. Hello, everyone. Oh, wait a minute. I've got the camera down, so I need to let me turn this around so I can be on camera here for a minute. Hang on a second. Okay. Here we are, or here I am. Um, oh my goodness, today it was so beautiful outside. Okay, first let me start. Let me get back to the beginning here. I am Christina Taylor. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from North Canton, Ohio. And I am so excited that you are joining me today for this video, or I should say, class. Um, it is our fall into autumn class, so we are doing all things, all projects autumn-like. And the ladies that came to the in-person class loved it. I got such great feedback. I hope you like the projects just as much as they did. And I'm so excited that you're joining me today. So we're going to go through a variety of different projects, different colors and images and all the kind of things. And some of the things are in the holiday catalog, which let me grab that holiday catalog. If you don't have one and you want one, let me know so I can get you that. But now I can show you like the inside, all the goodness in there. Oh, I see. I even have some pages still flagged of things that I need to buy too. Um, so several of the things are in that catalog, but a lot of the things are also online exclusives. So when this catalog released, so did a bunch of online exclusives. So some of those things I'll point out to you as I'm using them. And if you have interest in them, you can just hop on over to my online store, which I'll give you the details for, and you can purchase them and make them your own. So I was so enjoying the weather today. It was beautiful. My aunt is in town from Houston, so that is like a wonderful thing for my mom because it's her sister, and so they get to visit. So I got to see my mom today, my aunt Bonnie, and my sister. So as well as my son. He came over here. He was welding a trailer for a coworker of my husband's, fixing that up. So it was like kind of a fun day. Got to see all kinds of people that I love so much. And then I went for a bike ride because it's just beautiful here in Ohio. I think it's beautiful a lot all over the country, but we definitely could use some rain, that's for sure. But man, this sunshine is so beautiful. The other day, my stamp studio is downstairs. But the other day I took all my stamping things up and I stamped in the sunroom. So that was nice. A nice breeze and the windows are open and just beautiful sunshine. So. Anyway, I digress. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera down. I just wanted to say hello to all of you. I've got my hair pulled up in a messy bun because I went on a bike ride and well, the hair it just looks a lot different than it did when I started out earlier today. So, yeah. Okay, let me switch this down and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so I've got some supplies set up for what we're going to use. Just we're gonna jump on into it. Let me give you a peek at the other projects. So we've got this fall stamps, just kind of like a cascade of colorful leaves falling. We've got a pumpkin card, and we've got using this artistic leaf stamp set, which is one of my all-time favorites. It's a two-step stamp set, but it also has some distinctive images in it with the darker, what do I want to say? The like the natural shading, kind of like the pumpkin here, how you see that shading on there. So we're going to be using several of those today with that distinctive kind of imagery. So just a quick peek at the projects. We're going to start with this one. So let me put these out of the way. And okay, so here is our first project. I love the colors in this with the fall, just that fall feel that like, oh, these cards just give you like a put on a fuzzy sweater or a cozy blanket and sit up on the couch and drink a nice warm cup of tea. And, eventually we're going to get some rain. I mean, we have to, we need it so badly. So, yeah, eventually we will. But anyway, so on this card, the supplies that we are using, I'm going to set this over here to the side. We are using the Gathering Moments stamp set, which is a cling stamp set. So it's a red rubber cling stamp set, and it is an online exclusive. It's part of a suite. So I inadvertently did not order the dies. I ordered the stamp set and then realized, oh, there's a set of dies and I put in the wrong item number. So it happens to me too, ladies. I know all of you have done that a time or two yourselves. Um, it happens to everybody. So we're going to do a little fussy cutting on these leaves instead of die cutting. But if you want to make life easier, you can order the stamp set and the dies and make life a whole lot easier. But this has some great imagery in it for fall and then just some wonderful sentiments. Let me put them a little closer so you can get a closer look at them. So we're going to be using that stamp set. I also had grabbed, I think I'm going to stick with this one for the project, but during the class, some of the ladies used the right words. It's kind of an all occasion stamp set, and several of them picked out different sentiments in this stamp set as well. So that's also an option, and it is a red rubber stamp set too. All right, and then we're also using the Gathering Leaves embossing folder. Now, this does not say it's a 3D embossing folder, but for me, when I use it on my cut and emboss machine, I just use the specialty plate, which is typically just used with 3D embossing folders. It's just I just need my base platform, my embossing folder, and this, and it embosses fine instead of putting it with between the clear plates. So if you have this folder and you've tried it and you use like a different sandwich when you're making, embossing, let me know because I tried all kinds of different things and I was like, you know what, this doesn't say 3D, but I definitely need the plate when I'm doing it. It doesn't work the other way, at least on my machine. So this is I think this one is an online exclusive too. It's called Gathering Leaves. I believe it's in with this stamp set of products or this bundle here. Also, we've got the Early Espresso and Old Olive linen thread. These are wonderful. You're definitely going to want to order a package of this. They're 10 yards each of each color, and then or no, wait, I'm sorry, 15 yards of each color, and it's only $9. And these colors are great. The Early Espresso, great for fall right now, as would the Old Olive, but you could also use the Old Olive at Christmas time too. So this is definitely a must-have. I actually grabbed a couple more packs of this the last time I put in an order because I think this is going to be come in very handy for holiday cards too. Then the inks that I'm using are Cajun Craze, Early Espresso, and Basic Beige. And I'm going to grab a drink of my water real quick here. Okay, let's put these things aside. And let me share with you the supplies that we're using. Oh, pardon me. Maybe that little water went down just a little bit the wrong way. Okay, so we're starting off with a piece of Cajun Craze that's 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 4 1/4. We've got our white envelope. We've got a piece of early espresso, and that is cut 3 3/4 by 5. We've got a piece of basic white, and this is going to be a thick basic white. So you're going to notice that's a little different texture if you've got a kit to go. And it's 3.5 by 5. And then we've got a piece, these are both basic beige. So you've got a piece of basic beige that is 2.5 by 4 7/8. And then you've got one that is 1 1/4 by 4 7/8. Okay. Now I've gone ahead and embossed with that Gathering Leaves embossing folder. So you can see those beautiful, delicate leaves on there. And that is already done for us, so we won't have to emboss right now. So let me start by folding our card base in half and flatten that with the bone fold. We'll flatten that crease there, the fold. And then we're going to do a little stamping. So I'm going to need that envelope there. And let me grab a piece of stamping paper. Okay, just got a piece of scrap paper here. This will work just fine. Oh, you know what? I forgot the die sets that we're using. Let me grab that for you. Here we go. I had them on my other table. I've also used the textured notes dies. I went ahead and die cut this label for you out of the basic beige for those of you that had a kit. And I've got that right here. So you see that nice texture that it's got around the edge of this rectangle. So we're going to use that for our sentiment. So let me get all my pieces that we're going to need to stamp on. Oh, there's two envelopes there. I thought it seemed a little thick. I was like, why is that so thick? There's two there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my ink pads. Now, I did not re-ink these after classes yesterday. Had an afternoon and an evening class. So we'll see if I have to re-ink them like mid-stamping. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the ink pad that I want to use the colors for. Let me use that one there. Okay. So I'm going to first start by, let me bring my card back in here. I want to stamp two little accent pieces. And again, like I said, there are dies for this, but overlooked ordering them. So I had to fussy cut these. And if you were at class, you had to fussy cut them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp those two little pieces that I'm going to need to fussy cut out. And then if you happen to be like, was you're working on your project, this is how I did mine. I went ahead and popped this up with dimensional, so that's elevated. And the two accent pieces are also elevated on there. Everything else is just flush to the surface as far as flat when you're fastening that down. So I'll leave that there. Let me put it over here. I don't know if you can see it as well. Okay. All right. So we are going to start. Let me start by stamping those two little pieces. So I'm going to do a leaf in the basic beige. Okay. And then I'm going to do a little acorn, and we're going to do that in the early espresso. Okay. And let me grab my Stampin' Scrub, not Stampin' Scrub, my chamois. So I'm just going to ink that off because I'm not going to use that one again. Okay, so I've got these two little ones. They're stamped, and by the magic of TV, ta-da, they're already fussy cut for you. So you don't have to watch me fussy cut those, and I'll do these later for another project. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and start stamping. So I'm going to start, I always like to start with my larger image because then I can work the smaller ones around it. So I've got the larger leaf there in the Cajun Craze. I'm just going to do my inside layer. So I'm going to come in with a little bit of everything. I've got my little sprig there in the early espresso, and then one of the basic beige leaves. So this is my inside layer. And then let's go ahead and just do our envelope while we'll just kind of play around here and get, so you can see when this is stamping, you've got lighter and darker areas of the leaf. That is the way the stamp was designed. It kind of creates some texture to it, just and the stamping is the stamp itself is creating that just by the way it was designed. So that's kind of cool. And just see Mary might want to add some, I'm going to add just a little bit of color throughout the envelope here to kind of carry that, what we're going to stamp on the front over. So I've got a nice flap on my envelope with images stamped, and I'm going to stamp the larger leaf there. So that is done. And now we'll start with our basic beige piece. So again, I'm going to tap around because these ink pads were like really well loved last night at class. And I want to make sure I'm getting a good ink coverage for my impression on my project. Okay. And I might just put a touch a little, I like to do like some little stamping in the corners. I don't like to keep it just right within the piece of cardstock. I want to go off my cardstock a little bit to give it just a little bit more. It allows your eye to kind of just take in the whole card instead of the images being just stamped right here in the center and you've got like nothing stamped around the edges. Hopefully that makes sense. But when I stamp, I like to see. stamp it kind of off so that you got, oh, I really love how that is stamping. It is so pretty. The texture on that stamp is so nice. I actually, mine was like my example. This the ink pad was really juicy, and I actually like it that it's a little drier. It's stamping nicer, I think. Um, put a little bit of color there. Put a little bit right here. I'm just gonna fill in spaces. So like I want to put a little bit more color right there. I think I'm gonna put one of those there. Let's see. So that kind of fills up the space. I like that. I'm going to stick with that. Okay, so we've got everything stamped. We want to do our sentiment, but I'm going to go ahead and shut these colors because I'm not using those. And I'll just wait and clean off my stamps here in just a minute. So I have chosen the Your Friendship Means the World to Me. So this one is there's a expressing heartfelt gratitude, many thanks, thankful for you. We will probably be using this stamp set again in our gratitude greetings of gratitude in that's November. No, October. October the third Wednesday. And these sentiments will be great for it. So for this one, I've decided to use the Your Friendship Means the World to Me. And I'm going to ink that in the Cajun Craze. Okay. And stamp that down. Oh, that looks beautiful. Okay, let me close the ink pads, clean off all of our stamps. Let me put that aside. And then we're going to do a little assembly here. Okay. Oh, I think I missed a little ink on that one. Yep, sure did. Okay. So we'll put those out of the way. I'll pull this out of the way because I don't need that right now. We're done with stamping. So we are ready to assemble. Let me grab my, just going to use some Tombow adhesive, which is our liquid glue. So if you happen to be watching this video on September 18th, there is a 24-hour, one day only stamp sale. And all stamps are 15% off, which is a great little sale. So if you've got some things on your wish list, take advantage of those savings. So I've put that mat down and I've just given a very slight border to the side and the bottom. And then I'm going to put this embossed piece on the other side and just overlap it just a little bit on our stamped cardstock. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Right. And then need to get like the glue to come down a little bit. It was sticking there a bit, not wanting to drop down in the little applicator part. Okay, so I've got that on my front there. Then I want to go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. And for this one mine, I've got it kind of in the center there. Drop this one, put it right there. I'm going to put it at the top. A little something different. You can put it wherever you might like. I'm going to put this one at the top. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab a dimensional for each of these little embellishments I made. And yeah, right there. So you just kind of play around it, see where you want to place it. And little acorn there. And then I've got my nice little cute bow that I tied with my bow maker, which all of you have seen me use before. I'm certain of that. And then I'm going to grab a couple glue dots. Let's see, my paper pumpkin kit, and I'm just gonna let me take that off. I'm gonna roll it just a little bit. There's a little bit more glue dot on there than what I need. So I put a little like, I kind of made like a little hot dog of a glue dot. And I'll just press that little guy right there. This is again some of the early espresso twine. Isn't that so cute on there? These up here. Okay. And there is our first project. So, okay, we're on our way to some creativity here. Let's go. Okay, so we've got our first one done. I'm going to clear the space real quick here and I'm going to come back with another project for you. Okay, here we go. Second project. All right. Now, before I go further with this one, I just want to point out if anything that I'm using today, if you're like, hey, Christina, I'd like to have that in my box of creativity so that I can explore some creativity options with these products, you can visit my online store at stampingyoucrazy.stampinup.net. And there, if you have all you have to do is create an online account and opt in for rewards and communication, and that will allow you to earn 10% back on every order that you place over $20. And you can just shop away. You can put in there like put new items and all the new products that just came out will come up. You can search specific names, like if you're looking for the artistic leaf stamp set that we're using, whatever the case may be. You can search those items specifically right in my online store, just going to the search bar there. So, and as always, you can always email me at stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net. And I'm happy to help you with things if you're having a little bit of trouble navigating the online store. So, all right, let's get started. So this one, we are using the Artistic Leaves stamp set. This is an online exclusive stamp set, and we used this in last month's class too when we were doing like a little splash of summer into fall kind of thing, a little play on words there. And we use this wonderful stamp set on a card. But today we're going to be making this beauty. Look at the bright, fun colors. This card just looks like sunshine, doesn't it? So we're going to make this one. And on this card, so if you're doing an at-home kit, the leaf piece that's layered is popped up with some dimensionals as well as the sentiment piece. Other than that, everything is just stamped and or fastened flush to the card, just flat. So, all right, let me put this over here so you can have that in your vision there. So again, we're using that Gathering Leaves embossing folder. You're going to see a theme here as we're going throughout these projects. We're going to use this beautiful folder because it's subtle, but yet the little texture of the leaves there makes a nice impact on your card. So we're using that. We are using the stylish stitched shapes, which are circles, squares, and banners, and they are just jumbled in here because I use them often and I've got tons die cut out here, as you can see. And then we are also using the textured notes, just like we used on the last project. We're going to use this slim stitched edge die cut. And then, of course, the Artistic Leaf stamp set, which is a photopolymer stamp set. And the inks we're using are Pumpkin Pie and Daffodil Delight. And then I did make the little gems. Let me grab them. I forgot those. And so we're going to use some of the little golden gems here too. Okay, let me set these things aside because I've got everything that we need out here. And because this is photopolymer, I'm going to grab my foam mat to stamp on. And let me go ahead and give you the measurements before we start stamping. Sorry about that. So I've got my basic white envelope. I've got a piece of Daffodil Delight, and that is cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Then I've got a piece of pumpkin pie that is, let's see, the pumpkin pie is 3 3/4 by 5. And you can see there, I've already embossed that with that beautiful little Gathering Leaves embossing folder. Then we've got a piece of basic white that is 3 1/2 by 5. I've got a piece of Daffodil Delight that's 3 by 3. A die cut stitched shape, which is a square, and I've already got that die cut out of basic white. And then we've got the textured notes, the little or the long slim rectangle die cut out of basic white as well. So those are all ready to go. These are things we're going to stamp on. And we're going to stamp on that. So we'll pull some things in that we're going to stamp on and go ahead and get busy with that. So for this card, I just decided to make it like just hello, sweet friend. I think you could use this card if you needed to send, you're just thinking about a friend, you want to say hello, sweet friend. I'm so glad it's your birthday, whatever the occasion may be. You could also do celebrate today. There's a celebrate today in here, and that would work out for any occasion they might be celebrating, whether it's birthday, anniversary, congratulations on any type of good things. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the hello, sweet friend. And again, I did not re-ink these after class, so I'm going to give it a go and see how they stamp. Okay, that looks nice. Where's my stamp cleaner? Let me come back in here with my chamois. Get this cleaned off. This is a well-loved chamois. Oh my gosh, they really got to work out at last night's class for sure. All these fall colors coming into play. All right, we're going to start with our stitched square. And I'm going to start, for me, I like to start with the outline of the stamp. That for this particular set, that's the one I go with first. And I'm going to stamp it in the pumpkin pie. And it's going to give me a beautiful outline of that stamp, giving you that texture there, but we've got some white spaces. Let me leave this in case I decide to come back in there with that. So now I'm going to ink up the fill-in piece, and I'm going to do that with the Daffodil Delight. And again, you notice I'm inking around because it was well loved at class. And I'm just going to line up these two little leaf petals down here in the bottom. They kind of straddle that stem there. And then I just line up the points on the rest of the leaf to get that white filled in with some yellow. And you just get that beautiful contrast in those two colors. So this is our square piece. We're done with that. I'm going to do a little stamping on the inside layer of my card. And, oh, just I'll stamp two leaves there. And we're going to grab this little fill-in piece stamp. That's going to do that little swoosh there. And stamp that. And stamp that to give a nice little color there. And let's see, we'll keep it simple on this one. So on the leaf or on the envelope here, I'm going to do a leaf there and do one here. And we'll come in with that yellow and add a little accent color there. So we'll keep that simple, but very nice, very complimentary of the card. Okay, I've got all of our pieces stamped, so I'm going to go ahead and close these inks. Stamp and scrub in here, and we'll get everything clean so I don't set the cardstock or anything else on it because that's quite possible. Okay. All right. Okay, so we are ready to assemble. So let's fold that at the score line and bring in our bone folder and just kind of flatten that fold. All right. Go ahead and put our inside layer in. This green glue it's just kind of become my favorite to use. It gives me time to reposition it. It's easy to work with for me. I mean, I know everybody's different. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Okay. And we'll glue that die cut piece. Okay. And we're going to pop these two up with some dimensionals. I don't think we need this anymore. I'm going to I'm going to use some full-size ones on this, but then I'll use the minis on that slim die cut. So we want to make sure to support that center. So I'll put some of those in. And then let me grab some minis and put those down. Okay. Take all these little tabs off, the little top pieces. Let's get our leaf where we want it. Oh, right there. And then get the little paper tab backs off of the greeting piece. Put that in place and just gently press that. And then I need to come in with not a dimensional, a gem. So let's take your pick tool and grab a little gem and put that right there in the center. Just almost like it looks like a glistening dot of um water, like from the morning dew or something. I don't know if that, yeah, like on the leaves, I guess. But yeah, there's our second card. What do you think about that? Isn't that just like a hello sunshine kind of card? Okay. All right, let me clean this up and I'll come back with another project for you. Okay, our next project is this fun one with the pumpkins. The blue and the green pumpkins. I know it's so different. It's not your normal orange pumpkin that you see, or maybe even a white one. But sometimes you see like they're like gourd like pumpkins and they are blues and greens and stuff. And I just wanted to play so much and create something different with this pumpkin set. And this is an online exclusive. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, oh, I just love this card. And a lot of the ladies at class love this one too. So this is a fun project. So you might ask, Christina, why do you have paper pumpkin out here? Well, the stamp set that we're using on this one is a paper pumpkin stamp set. It actually came in the August paper pumpkin. So we used just a note to say, good friends are hard to find. I'm so glad we found each other. This is a great card to send to just a friend, and just this time of year, and just send them greetings of like, hey, how you doing? I'm thinking about you, and I'm so happy you're in my life. So this stamp set, let me get the imagery, you can see it better. So it came in the Farmhouse Florals kit, which I actually previewed and shared with you on last month's video. And this particular kit came with two stamp sets. So these were the two stamp sets that came in the kit. And I decided to use this one. I grabbed the sentiments out of here, and I know some of the ladies were using the You Are Loved on their card and the thank you and the hello, as well as the just a note to say, and then the greeting about friends. So that is where you'll find these stamps. So if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you already have this from last month's kit. So yay you're a step ahead there. If you're not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, check it out. It's a great fun escape that comes right to your door. And I believe like with shipping and tax, it comes to like $28. That includes shipping and tax. You get all the supplies to make the project. You get the stamp set. This month you got two. And then the Stampin' Spot, your first month you get the block to kind of go with it. But yeah, just I thought I would mention that. So unfortunately, this stamp set cannot be purchased, but if you're Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you can get those exclusive stamp sets every month delivered to your door. Okay. So, what else we are using? Let's see. We are using the Beautiful Pumpkin stamp set, and this is an online exclusive. And then we've got a set of dies that go along with it. Punch or die cuts the two different size pumpkins out there, the little stems, some vine pieces, and some detailed little the stem pieces like for the top of the pumpkin, which I did a little differently on the kit than I did for the class. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And the inks that we're using are Old Olive, Misty Moonlight, a soft sea foam, and then we've got our Stampin' Spot of Cloud Cover because, of course, there's problems with the Cloud Cover ink pad, and that's not available in the full size. So a little Stampin' Spot works great. And then I have also pulled out the Stamparatus because this baby, she works great. I love the Stamparatus. Um, not sure really why Stampin' Up! Ever got rid of it, but that's a whole other story and one that's not mine to tell, I guess. But anyway, maybe in the future we'll have something new, but for now, I'm going to keep using my Stamparatus. I love it. Okay, let me grab the supplies that we're using. Oh, I just dropped one of the vines. Okay. All right, so we've got our basic white envelope. We've got a piece of Misty Moonlight that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. Let's see. I've got the little detailed ivy pieces. I went ahead and die cut those out of the Old Olive. And I've gone ahead when I am doing a lot of cards that I want to like mass produce them or do multiple ones. I go ahead and cut out a bunch of the dies, the shapes, and then I use my Stamparatus and make myself a template, which I'll show you in just a little bit. I know I've done that before in classes. Then you've got in the rest of your supplies, you've got a piece of basic white that's 4 by 5.25, and this is thick basic white, so you're going to notice it's a little heavier. And then if you've got a kit, and then Old Olive, and that's going to be 4 by 5.25. And then you've got a piece of basic white, and this one's going to be a little like our when I say like not as heavy weight, it's our traditional white cardstock. It is 3.75 by 5. And then you've got a 1/2 inch strip for your sentiments. And then, so what I was explaining to you earlier about the stems. So at class, we have like, you can have a stamped stem there, but for the kits, and that I went ahead and just die cut the textured stems out. So you've got those on a glue dot for yourself. But you can very easily stamp the stems and cut those out in just whatever color you'd like. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by stamping our pumpkins. And I want to show you how we created the two tones here. Okay, so you've got the sea foam and the misty moonlight, and then, oh my goodness, the cloud cover and the misty moonlight. And I want to grab the, so we had to step away there. So I've gone ahead and done a set of them. So I've got the soft sea foam and the misty moonlight pumpkins here. I'm going to show you how you create the two-tone image. I'm just not going to do all four. Okay, so let me get the stamp. It's stuck there. Okay, so I made myself a little template, and I just want to make sure that that paper's right up in the corner of the Stamparatus, and I'm going to put my die cuts right in my template. Okay. And I'm going to I'll do the blue tones here to show you this one. So I'm going to take my cloud cover Stampin' Spot, and I'm just going to ink my solid image. This is more of the bolder bulk of the pumpkin. So I'm going to ink this and the cloud cover, and let me go grab my little handle. Forgot that. So I need that to, so ink this up, press down. The trick with the Stamparatus and the photopolymer stamps is to, once you ink it, you want to get it stamped because the polymer starts to like pull the ink and you can get a lot of separated dots because it'll have a tendency to want to pull away. I don't know. It's just something that the polymer does, I guess. Um, at least that's what I found with using the Stamparatus and the stamps. So now I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight and I'm going to ink up my detailed images. And I'm going to come over and just use my little glider here and apply some pressure. Okay, so now I've got my two blue pumpkins. Get those out of the way. Let me put a piece of paper in there. Put that piece of paper in there to protect the Stamparatus, and I'll just move this out of the way. Okay. All right. So everybody did a soft sea foam and a misty moonlight. So they've got the green blue combination and then the cloud cover and the misty moonlight pumpkins. And then what you did was reverse the pumpkins on your card so you had one of each. So because I've shown the big blue pumpkin, I'll do the big green pumpkin and the little blue pumpkin. And we'll save these for another project. But so everybody had two of each to be able to swap them out and make a similar card, but the pumpkins were a little different. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to start by folding our card base in half for this one and get that flattened. Okay. Need to do stamping on all of these pieces. Okay. So, oh yes, and we are using the Gathering Leaves embossing folder on this one. I can grab that. Good gracious, I just keep having to get up and go to my other side table. So we're using the Gathering Leaves again and the specialty plate, but I didn't do this beforehand because we're actually going to stamp on it first, and then emboss. So you see this piece here, this one is a die cut vine piece, but this one is a stamped piece. So we've got to do that before we emboss and get that texture of all those little leaves on there. All right. So we're going to do that in Old Olive. And I'm going to ink up this vine. And again, let's hope it's nicely juiced still. Okay. And kind of stamp that off to the side here. Looks good. And then I'll go ahead and do a piece for my inside. Do that. And then why not do something for the outside? So let's see. We'll maybe just do it along the edge here. Get some vine along the back side and maybe right like that. Okay. All right, let me clean this off. We'll come back to embossing that. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment so that way I can close up the ink pads. So I want to do a just a note to say. So we're going to ink that. And then on the inside, right here by our ivy, I'm going to do good friends are hard to find. I'm so glad we found each other. Okay. And I will go ahead and close these so they're out of the way. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go over to my cotton emboss machine and emboss this. So let me just kind of set that in here. And at class, you could do both of them right next to each other because this is a large embossing folder, so it would take both card halves at once. And just in case you're not aware of this, but when you're embossing, if you want that raised image to be on the top portion of your cardstock, if you put the image in that you want embossed so that the Stampin' Up! Logo is to the top, that will emboss to the top. Otherwise, if I flip this over and embossed it, it would actually deboss this piece instead of embossing it. So just a note, a little note there to help with your crafting when you're embossing. So I'm just going to run over to my embossing machine and run this quickly through the cotton emboss machine. Okay, super easy. All right, so we've got that done. And let's see where that magic happens. See? So look, now we've got texture on our stamped piece. So fun. All right, let's see. All right, we are ready to go ahead and assemble. Put this together. I know the ladies at Classy were that like, Christina, why didn't you die cut everything out of here? You know what, ladies? I do not know. It just did not dawn on me. I wasn't even thinking. I know. Can you believe that? That's so shocking for me not to have die cut out of that layer. That is my go-to when I'm die cutting pieces. I just die cut it right out of layer, which you will see probably on the next project because I think I die cut that out of every center of the pumpkin pie that we're using. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this on our card front. Oh, I just love these colors. This card is so fun. And put the inside layer in here. Put a nice frame around the card. All right, so I'm going to put these pumpkins on with some dimensionals. Let's see, where's my, I'm sorry about my hands there in the frame. I'm going to go ahead and flip those pumpkins over. And let me get some dimensionals on here. Well, that one, the little tab came up and the little guy's going to stick right to me. Okay. So I want to go ahead and put my bigger pumpkin. There's a little paper piece there. Right behind, like I want that vine to come out from behind it. So I'm going to set it about right there. Okay. And then I'm going to set this other little guy just kind of right next to it. Okay. So I've got my green and blue where this one's blue and green here. And then these little stems are already die cut for you, and I've got them already on a glue dot. So you'll just put that little guy on the big one and then come grab this little tiny one. Okay, perfect. And then now we're going to put these on, which let me think here. Let me think how I'm going to do this. Because I think I want to put a dimensional on underneath a couple of these. Okay. All right. Grab a little bit of glue here. So I'm putting a couple little dimensionals on there and a little bit of liquid glue. Just going to tuck this around so that that just has some depth to it and a little lift there. And then for this little guy, I'll just put a little liquid glue on him and tuck it right there on my pumpkin. So cute. Okay. All right. And then, so our sentiment that we've got for the front, all I did was just angle cut it. I didn't die cut this one at all. I just went ahead and snipped it at an angle. So super easy. And then just going to put some adhesive on the top portion. Oops, I was off camera there. I just put a little adhesive on the top of that because I'm going to kind of tuck it in right under that vine and just let it rest on the pumpkins. Okay. Okay, so there is our third card, and that was Zoara's example. So you can see the color change in the pumpkins. What do you think? I'd love to know what your favorite card is so far. We've got one more to go, but I'd love to get your feedback and let me know what you're thinking. All right. Let me clear this off and I'll come back with our last project. Okay, all right, we are back, and for our last project, look at this cascade of colorful leaves falling. So we are going to use this fun background stamp on this next project. The only thing that's popped up here is just the sentiment with some dimensionals, and we're going to do a creative way to do our ribbon. So just cozy in and we're going to get stamping here. Yeah. All right. So on this one, we are using Stampin' Spots, which are Stampin' Spots. We do have collections of them, two collections that are featured on, I think, page 33 of the big catalog. But if you're going to my online store, if you just put in Stampin' Spot, it'll come up with the collections that we currently offer. And you can always get the uninked Stampin' Spots, kind of like I did with the cloud cover, and make your own colors. A lot of ladies like these because they're small and you can carry like 10 colors as opposed to the size of two pads. So totally up to you, whatever works best. But on this project, I'm actually using the Stampin' Spots for this technique. And I'm using pumpkin pie, crushed curry, old olive, soft suede, and cherry cobbler. Now you will say, Christina, soft suede is not current. I know, but we were using other browns on the other projects, and I pulled this one out. You could easily substitute any brown that you wanted. So just know that that is an option for you. Okay, and we're also using the perennial postage dies. I use this larger die cut here and die cut the piece that we're stamping our leaves on. And then I also used, well, let me just show you on these three because there's three more dies in here. I used the one that's square. I used the little rectangle one with just the edges on each side and then a smaller rectangle postage all around. So I've got those three options, which I had at class for everyone, and they could choose what they wanted. So we are using that. We're also using some pumpkin pie ribbon. You've got that in your kit if you did a kit to go. This is the Etched Autumn stamp set. So this is a large background stamp that we're using. And again, it's 15% off on the 18th. So if you happen to be watching this before the 18th, make your wish list. If not, grab it afterwards. It's a great price and you'll get a lot of use out of that stamp. I did grab a beautiful autumn stamp set, which is retired, but I wanted these two little leaves here because I wanted to be able to keep this on the Stamparatus for the ladies to use at class. So I wanted to make sure to use that same, use the same stamps that I used at class to have them to be able to stamp their inside with some leaves and their envelope, just making it easier. And then lastly, I used Snowflake Kisses. And you're probably like, Christina, what? Why are you using a snowflake set? These are autumn cards, which I know. But you'll see on here, let me kind of hold it steady. The sending warm hugs, be warm and well, lots of love, you're one of a kind. These would be great sentiments for a fall card. So that's why I chose to go with this stamp set. And these greetings worked really well for the size labels. So we'll definitely be using this stamp set again in the Christmas card class that's on October 4th. And then the winter class that is the third Wednesday in November. We'll definitely be swinging back around and using that again. Okay, so our supplies that you have in front of you, you've got your basic white envelope. If you've got a kit, this is what you'll have in front of you. You've got a piece of soft suede that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. You've got a piece of very vanilla that is 4 by 5.25. Yeah. And a postage cut die that is oh my goodness, it's very vanilla. It's the largest one. I was going to give you a size and it's like no. It's the largest postage perennial postage die and that's die cut for you. And then you've got a piece of pumpkin pie. Now, this one happened to not have anything cut out of it. But if you have a kit, you most likely have those three shapes cut out of your cardstock. It's quite possible. We are literally using this as a layer. No one is going to see that those dies have been die cut out of your layer. And it helps cut down on the weight on your postage. And you can just, why not utilize those layers? Like I said, I don't know why I didn't die cut the vines and stuff out of the layers for the pumpkin, but I did not. So you've got that and that piece. Oh, if I didn't give you that, it's 4 by 5.25. And then you've got a piece of pumpkin pie ribbon, one that is 5 inches and one that is like 3.5 inches. And that is it. All right, so we're going to start by using the Stamparatus. And let me set these stamps aside. Okay, I'm going to put my case there because this helps with keeping that stamp flat while I'm inking. So again, I've made a template. I've just out of some scrap black cardstock, and I want to make sure it's up in the corner there. And I'm going to go ahead and insert that in my die cut area. Now, the important thing with this technique, and you could use your full-size pads. I just felt like the Stampin' Spots were going to be easier for the ladies at class. You want to start with your lightest, darkest ink. So I'm going to go crushed curry, pumpkin pie, old olive, soft suede, and cherry cobbler last. Because if I go cherry cobbler first, most of these colors are going to look cherry cobbler when I go to put them on there. So we want to go lightest to darkest. So I'm just going to take my Stampin' Spot and these might need an ink too. Again, like I said, I didn't re-ink anything from class yesterday. So we will see. So I've done the crushed curry and I'm going to do some pumpkin pie. I'm going to put a little bit of orange down here. And then I'm going to come in with some old olive. Okay. And then we're going to do a little soft suede. And come in here with this. Okay. And then let's hit it with that cherry cobbler. And oh, we're going to see that for sure. I'm going to try and see. Hopefully I got everything. We'll see once we stamp it down. So I've got everything inked. I'm going to drop it down and then I'm just going to apply some pressure. So let me kind of go over this. I'm going to use both hands because this part of the stamp seemed to be really challenging for ladies because I think I had it set a little too high there, but we'll see. Not bad. I'm happy with that. It's got all the leaves in there. So I've stamped it once and I've got all the different colors there. Everything stamped and it just looks like a cascade. So I am happy with this. I'm going to go ahead and lift up that scrap piece, that template, and just pop that out. And let me grab a piece of paper to put in there so I can close that. Okay. Aside. All right, so we've got that done. We want to go ahead and do a little stamping. And we're using photopolymer, so I'm going to come in with a photopolymer and use we use the pumpkin pie and the cherry cobbler. So I'm going to use these little guys to create some leaves on my envelope. And this is why I pulled these in because I just felt like this is going to be a whole lot easier for everyone to stamp than to try to do the multi-leaf stamping and mess with the stamp apparatus when it's already set up for a template. So this worked out really well. And then we'll go ahead and do a few leaves on our inside. And I'll do a second generation stamping there. And then there we go. Okay, perfect. So we'll shut this, this spot, and this one. That one is, oh, the label's kind of tucked in there. That's why. Okay, let me put those aside. And then my sentiment, I've done is sending warm hugs because, hey, who would not like a warm hug? And I think I'm going to use this one, but although this one would work really nice, I did that one, this one on the example. So I'm gonna do this one. And I did it in soft suede, but we'll try cherry cobbler. We'll change it up a little bit. So give some different options. I don't know that I inked that W one. Okay. Love that. Okay. Oh, I just am so excited with these projects. It just makes me happy when I'm stamping these. It's like little bursts of sunshine. Love it. Okay, we've got all of our pieces. We're ready to assemble. Let's take these out of the way. So just know in your kit, you could have any of these sizes. They'll all work really well with this project, does not matter. Some of the ladies they did the be warm, yeah, the be warm, be well, and you just did it at a diamond on the square. Worked out really nicely. Okay, so I'm gonna flatten that fold. I'm gonna, okay, oh, we're like right at an hour. Christina, you have got to get going here. Okay, my watch is telling me, hey, let's get it moving, sister. Right, about little. See, I'm thinking here. Yeah, I think I like it with the red at the top. So because the leaves are cascading, you can put this on either way. You decide how you want it to go. Okay, so we're gonna go back with our faux knot. And what I mean by that is we're gonna do our little ribbon trick, which the ladies at class have shared with me that they really like this. It makes it so much easier for them to tie their bows. So we're gonna go ahead and flip the one side around. So just got the end of our ribbon there. So I've got one fastened in place. I'm going to pull that on the front of the card, flip it over, and fasten that down. So we've got our line of ribbon there. And then you're going to take the small piece and just tie your knot there. So it looks as though you've wrapped it around, but it's so much easier. Sometimes that can be really challenging to cut or to tie those ribbons and to get it to tie flat like you want it. So this is a much easier way. I'm just going to clean up the ends. Okay. And then we're gonna fasten this on, and I am, because I've got the tape there, I'm gonna use my snail because I've got that tape and sometimes it's just funky putting the liquid glue on the tape. I don't know. So I just use my Stampin' Seal. Fasten that down. And then we're gonna put our warm hugs on there, and I'm gonna use some dimensionals. And okay. So I'm gonna take those. I just use the mini dimensionals because I want to be able to kind of straddle this ribbon a little bit. So I wanted to make contact with the card. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I love the little label on there. I mean, I love that one too, but this is cute. It's a cutie one. Okay, let me put that aside. Let's move all this stuff aside and bring in the rest of our projects. Okay, so we've got that one. Let's take that out of the way. Then we've got this one. Beautiful leaves, this little bit of sunshine here. Grab this one. And then our pumpkins. So you could have this pumpkin or bring this one back in. You could have the blue version. So there we go. Oh my gosh, does that just make you smile? I'm just smiling looking at them. All kinds of fall. Like I can't wait to send these cards out. All right, let me turn the camera around here. Okay. Oh my goodness. Did you love the projects? I hope that you did. Oh my goodness. I so enjoyed creating with you. So, if you enjoyed the projects, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up on this video or make a comment and tell me which project you like the best. I will say that I was a little disappointed. One of my last videos, somebody gave me a thumbs down. And like that made me kind of sad. But at the same time, I always want to offer you the best creativity, inspiration things that I can offer you. So, if that was you that gave me a thumbs down, like reach out to me and let me know what you would like me to improve on the video. I know last time I did not show my face. Like maybe you want to see somebody when you're crafting, when we're crafting together. I don't know. But you know what? In this world where there's so much going on, I think if you can be anything, be kind. I think you can always just, if being kind is just it's gonna make somebody's day. It's gonna make you feel better too. So, anyway, okay, well, thank you for joining me. That's my little PSA for like being kind. Um, Thanks for joining me today for this class. I hope you got creative inspiration. You're ready to stamp some fall cards. I hope if you did a kit to go, you're loving it, and you're going to send those cards out and send that paper sunshine to someone and brighten their day. So, all right, until next time, happy stamping. Bye bye.